Hey, what's up, guys? This is Spencer back with some more fantasy football content. I'm going to be reviewing my sits and starts from last week and explaining some of the logic why I thought you should start or sit a player. So first up, we have Josh Downs. Looking at Josh Downs, I saw the increase in targets and just thought he would be, a PPR monster with that target share, possibly get a touchdown. The problem that I saw here and why this ended up, not really working out as a flex play is that in week 3 he had Gardner Minshew starting at quarterback. So I think Josh Downs was sort of a safety valve for Gardner Minshew, whereas Richardson, he uses his legs a lot. He's, running the ball a lot himself. So I just don't see Josh Downs being flexible if Gardner Minshew isn't starting, which I don't think he will unless, Anthony Richardson gets hurt. So for that reason, I think it's tough to start Josh Downs even with a matchup play. Like, maybe if they play a tough defense, you can plug and play him in. But yeah, it's a rough one with just the way Richardson plays. Next up, we have Rondale Moore. Obviously, he put up a goose egg, so that looks like egg on my face. But if you go back to the video that I said start Rondale Moore, it was with the contingency that Marquise Brown doesn't play because he had some sort of injury designation at the time. And they're playing San Francisco, so the thought process was they're not going to be able to throw the ball deep. Rondale Moore will get a bunch of under routes and just catch a ton of balls. But Marquise Brown ended up playing, stretching the field. He got a little bit himself, but ultimately Michael Wilson, we can take a look real quick at him. Michael Wilson went off. Because even if you take out these 2 touchdowns that he got, which is great, he got 7 targets, 7 receptions, 76 yards. And so essentially, once we found out that Marquise Brown was going to play, definitely pivot off Rondale Moore, who is the third option in this offense. But I do like Michael Wilson going forward for this type of defense play where, like as you can see, Dallas is a strong defense. I mean, he got these 2 bombs, so it's tough to just say, okay, 2 receptions. But, San Francisco, 7 receptions. So just think about the matchup play. I don't know. Arizona's a very weird team to me, but I think Michael Wilson could definitely be an interesting start moving forward. Going back to the next start that I had was Jaylen Warren. I would consider this a win because he went for 11 points. Ultimately, you're not looking for a ton of rushing production. Like basically mirrored what he did last week. It's really that receiving work. So if you're in a PPR league, he's going to get you those catches. He's going to get those yards through the air. If he could just get a touchdown any of these weeks, like he's, really outperforming. Like he's RB25 right now. Obviously, we still have the Monday games to go, but for a guy that you got in super late rounds, I mean, Jaylen Warren seems like or possibly waivers. It depends on your league. Jaylen Warren seems like a good flex play moving forward. All right, for my sits, I had Calvin Ridley as number 1. Ridley ended up getting into the end zone on a busted coverage play, so he ended up going for 11 points. But without that, if he just got a typical catch because it was just a 30-yard broken coverage, he's not putting up really respectable points. It's similar to the Rondale Moore, Marquise Brown sort of logic, which was Atlanta's defense is very strong. Ridley is a field stretcher. Obviously, he does curl routes and stuff, but we saw what happened with Christian Kirk. He was the safety valve. He got a ton of catches. Let me just click on Kirk real quick. So yeah, Kirk got 8 receptions on 12 targets. Didn't get into the end zone. Put up 16.4 in a PPR league. So the thought process is, if there's a strong defense, and Ridley is not Justin Jefferson, he's not a guy that's going to just get his no matter what, right? He's a great receiver, but and I also think Lawrence is struggling a little bit. He's not having time to throw the ball down the field. So with that logic, moving forward, for example, Buffalo is pretty strong. They just held Miami to 20 points or something. I don't feel confident starting Ridley again next week because of the same logic. Because he's not going to be able to stretch the field. He got 2 receptions, right? I'm just not that. Look, and you can even see the projection, 12.9 for next week against Buffalo, 12.09. So anyway, that's why I think, Ridley is sort of a matchup-based guy. So take that advice moving forward. But this is my review for last week. Next up was Quentin Johnston. I think this should have been obvious to not start Quentin Johnston. But, people see that Mike Williams is out. They go, oh, let me start Quentin Johnston because he's going to just fill in the Mike Williams role. I just don't see that happening. I'm not sure if, the coaching staff is just non-believers in Quentin Johnston's talent. Because we see a lot of rookie wide receivers, at least getting some snap share, some sort of action, and maybe not so much JSN. So... yeah, I think that they're really either A, think that he's a rookie, he needs time, right? Or B, they just feel like, well, we have Josh Palmer, we have Keenan Allen, we have Gerald Everett, we have these other options. We don't really need Quentin Johnston to be his ceiling right now. He just needs to be on the field and he's not going to be a Mike Williams. So I think it's a combination of those things. I don't think these projections are just basically him getting a touchdown. I don't think you can really start Quentin Johnston until he proves otherwise. The final one was DK Metcalf, and it wasn't because of the player. It wasn't because he has an amazing matchup with the New York Giants. He hasn't played yet. It's this before the Monday game. But the reason why is because he had an injury on report back on Friday when I made the video. So obviously he doesn't have an injury report. He's good to go. So for that reason, he's an obvious smash start, right? No reason not to start DK. But the point is that going into even Saturday, we didn't know the injury update until, midday through Saturday. So the point is, hey, if this guy's not good to go, by the Sunday games, if it's still a question mark, you don't want to be sitting there on Monday night going, oh shoot, DK's not going to play. I don't have anyone to fill in. I'm trying to pick up who's a Giants receiver, Hodgins or something, who's going to be on waivers, right? So just thinking more about the meta of trying to see into the future and not be in that situation. So anyway, obviously DK Metcalf is a smash start every week if he's healthy. But just wanted to touch on that sort of logic. So ultimately, the way I feel to look at these isn't oh, he said, Rondale Moore, and so therefore he's wrong, and why would we trust this guy or whatever. Look, I think fantasy football is a tricky thing to begin with, but secondly, I'm here to just present the logic to you and, try and appeal to reason and stats and general common sense. So take that with what you will. I can't see into the future, but also I don't know your league. I don't know who's on waivers. There might be way better pickups. I'm just trying to give you advice that's a little more deeper, because I think that it's not helpful to say, go start Stephon Diggs. Yes, start him every week, right? So anyway, I'm reaching into the depths, so I might definitely miss on a few of these. But anyway, with that being said, I appreciate some of the subscribers I've been getting, and I'm going to keep putting out content for you guys. And yeah, look forward to week 5 starts and sits. I'll be putting that out soon. And yeah, let me know anything in the comments of people you're curious about. I've been answering all the comments. And thank you for everyone for the support. I'll see you in the next video.